Hey everyone, I'm Yun and welcome back. I took a really big break from making videos because I had finals, but 2 days ago finals are over, so yay for that. If you're taking finals, I wish you really good luck. I know this semester has been really stressful. I know friends who have struggled and had to drop courses, so if you're in that situation, you're definitely not alone. I almost thought I needed to drop a course, but I ended up making it through. I have been on low dose testosterone for a month and a half. Yay! So in this video, I just wanted to talk about changes or things that I felt at the 1 month and a half mark, not necessarily because a lot has physically changed, but it was a question that someone else had asked me. I also just want to say that it is December now, which is crazy, and I recently finished making a bunch of Christmas cards, and I think they turned out really cute. I don't know if you can hear the bell, but I made like 13 Christmas cards for friends and family, so that was a really nice, relaxing, unwinding art activity I did yesterday. Being on low dose testosterone for a month and a half, I will say my dosage is 25 milligrams. I take testosterone through intramuscular injection, so depending on dosage and individual biology, everything is going to be different for every person. And the only thing that I've really noticed is actually voice. So I haven't noticed any body hair growth. I haven't noticed any, well, we'll talk about mood changes in a little bit, but I haven't been more irritable or angry. I still have a pretty normal range of emotional reactions to things. I was actually watching Netflix's TV show Pose about the late 1980s in New York for transgender people of color and LGBT people, and I mean, I was crying just fine, so I think my emotional reactions are still fine. I haven't noticed changes in body odor or anything like that. But when it comes to my voice, I haven't noticed a lot of changes, and I haven't noticed changes necessarily by hearing myself speak, but more about the feeling of my throat when I talk. Sometimes I try and mimic high-pitched voices when I'm telling a story or trying to be funny, and sometimes when I try and do that, it feels like sound won't come out, or it feels like there's not as much sound as there used to be. It's not as easy. I wouldn't necessarily say I've noticed voice cracks, but my throat sometimes just feels different. It's not that I'm getting sick, because over the month I've felt it, and I mean, I've been getting tested for COVID, and I mean, I'm not sick at the end of the day. I've been negative, and so I know it's not that. It's not like flu symptoms or anything. Voice not working. Voice machine broke. Voice not working as normally as it usually does. But of course I am, going to be thinking about it more since I started teas, so maybe I'm just being paranoid. I don't know. We'll see. So voice is really the only physical change that I've noticed. Let's talk about mood though, because somebody asked me, do you feel more irritated or do you feel less emotional? It's kind of hard to track, I guess, emotional changes because it is a pandemic. I am finishing my second to last semester at college. I'm spending time with my family a lot right now, my parents. So those are a lot of external factors that could be affecting my emotions. I finished a nice semester session of counseling with the college I went to. But overall, I'm feeling a lot more relaxed and a lot better in general. I'm a lot happier. I'm happier with myself. I feel a lot more positive. I feel more at ease. I feel more confident. That wasn't necessarily how I felt actually when I was first starting testosterone. When I was first starting testosterone, I was happy, but I actually became paranoid. And part of the reason that I think I became paranoid, the 2020 elections were going on, So that was a stressful time for everyone. With the increased political discussion, I was just seeing a lot of news and policy being brought to my attention again. I mean, these are things that I've kind of kept up with. I realized that by making a medical decision, I may be viewed or treated differently because of it. And it's not information I'm offering up to every single person I meet. It's not something that comes up in casual conversation. But I know that for my near future, as changes start to happen, that's just going to be an aspect of my life and a part of the community that I am now going to be more aware of, more conscious of, even more than I was before. I also got insecure a little bit, even though making the decision, having the autonomy to make the decision, and the financial backing of my own money to start taking testosterone, I didn't necessarily have a ton of people who I saw day to day. I mean, it's a pandemic, so I wasn't seeing anyone really on a day-to-day basis. Part of me was realizing if there wasn't a pandemic going on, I could really utilize my support network a lot more than I was being able to during the pandemic and being isolated a lot of the time. That was a little bit disheartening. I was still getting used to support that I got from my parents over the decision, because there's a lot of anxiety surrounding talking to them about it. It was a mixture of happy and paranoia and anxiety. But now that it's been a month and a half, I think a lot of that has calmed down. Now that I'm not dealing with classes and finals, that was also probably contributing to stress, I feel really, really good. The person that was asking me if I had any emotional changes, once they heard my response, they asked a second question where they said, if you were to stop taking hormones, do you think you would still feel good, or do you think you would go back to being paranoid or back to how you felt before you started hormone therapy? And in this hypothetical, for some reason, I made a decision to stop taking hormones before any physical effects really came through. I wanted to just make it clear that even though I do have a lot of relief and a lot of happiness knowing that I'm finally in control and have the choice to make decisions about myself, that doesn't negate the fact that I am doing this for a reason. I am going through blood tests and self-injection as someone who's freaked out by needles for a reason, and it's to get effects from testosterone. It's not purely performative. If I were to stop taking testosterone right now for some mysterious reason, I would go back to being unhappy probably, because that's a decision that I feel really strongly about, and I would continue to try and pursue it. The hypothetical in itself doesn't make a ton of sense, and that was something that was interesting to explain, because I think to some people, they view it as a choice, and since they view it as a choice, it's a perfectly reasonable hypothetical to ask, well, what if you just didn't choose it? And to me, it's such a unimaginable thing. Ever since I came out 4 years ago, I knew I was interested in hormone therapy. That didn't change over the 4 years of me living, being out. To me, it was kind of like making a hypothetical about, say there's a woman who's a lesbian, and for some reason you're asking this woman who's a lesbian, well, what if, hypothetically, you were living your life and then you just stopped dating women or being in relationships with women, and then you were only in relationships with men, and then asking them something about that? By the nature of being a lesbian, she's not gonna stop dating women. So that's the kind of funny internal reaction I have to questions about hormones sometimes. And not every individual who is non-binary or transgender wants to take hormones or has the access to take hormones. So that I'm not saying that this is a uniform feeling across the board for all people. But for me personally and my individual history, it's been an innate reaction and part of who I am, at least in my young life. I recognize I'm really young, and I also recognize and give myself the space to know that If I don't like the effects of hormones, I have no problem going off of them. Or if I do like the effects of hormones, I have no problem continuing to take them. I'm listening to my body and going to counseling, and that's what is driving the process. So yeah, a lot of happy feelings, not necessarily because of the testosterone, but more because of the autonomy and the decision of being able to start that process and be in the middle of that process. That's all I have. Not very many changes, but I do want to make more videos coming up very soon. One that's coming up is going to be about the cost of starting testosterone. I'm also thinking about making a video about learning different things. The video idea might be about the asexual, aromantic community and demisexuality, because that's something I've been learning a lot about recently. I also got a drawing tablet. I might have fun recordings of me like playing around with the drawing tablet, getting used to it, drawing things related to the topic. I think it could be fun. Thanks for listening, and I hope to see you later.